Root variations in the Spanish present tense. Roots with a stressed I. Root variations are also known as radical changes, stem changes, and shoe or boot verbs. Let's start with a simple sentence and look for patterns. The doctor comments, comenta. To help you see patterns and establish meaning, we'll make the subject of the verb stand out by making it red. Every verb form has a root and an ending. When the subject changes, the ending does too. Her patients comment. Comentan. You do. Comentas. I do. Comento. You and I do. Comentamos. You and I always adds up to we. Someone, anyone, and I always adds up to we. The infinitive of the verb also has a root and an ending. Comentar. Many students try to memorize the endings isolated in a chart, but don't see the pattern when the endings are put to use. Instead of always starting with the infinitive every time, try building the other forms using the basic singular form as your base. Then you can add the suffix n to make a verb plural, and add the suffix s when the subject is tú. To talk about myself, what suffix do I add? This strategy doesn't always work. In this case, I start fresh with the root and add an entirely different ending. To talk about myself in a group, once again, I keep the basic main ending and simply add the suffix mos. You should also be able to work backwards and build the infinitive in the same way. Usually just add the suffix r. Lined up in one column makes it easy to see and hear where the stress of your voice should fall. To say the words correctly, just follow the arrow. The stress lines up in the root until the last form when it jumps over into the ending. Comenta. Comentan. Comentas. Comento. Comentamos. In the infinitive of the verb, the stress also falls in the ending. Just like comentamos, comentar. The stress of your voice jumps predictably. Sometimes it falls in the root, and sometimes it falls in the ending. We've looked at one spelling pattern of Spanish verb endings. These endings are built on the letter A, and we've shown it in blue. But you probably know that there are two more, a total of 3. We'll show the next pattern in green to help you spot the one difference. Can you see it? These endings are built on the letter E. Responde. Fortunately, everything else is the same. Add an N, an S, and MOS. The main ending is different, but the mini endings are the same. Again, to talk about myself, I use an entirely new ending, which should look familiar. It's the same in both spelling patterns. As always, the spelling pattern is reflected in the infinitive. The stress of your voice jumps predictably. Just follow the arrow. Sometimes it falls in the root, and sometimes it falls in the ending. The last pattern is only a minor variation of the second pattern. So we'll show it in the same color, green. Discute. This verb means discusses, and it also can express argues. So far, the endings look the same. The minor difference is in the last form, and it's easy to spot. The mini ending is the same, and one letter has changed. This definitely is only a minor difference. Fortunately, the variation is also reflected in the infinitive. Again, the stress of your voice jumps predictably. Just follow the arrow. Sometimes it falls in the root, and sometimes it falls in the ending. Seeing and hearing where the stress falls is important, since many verbs have two variations of the root, a stressed variation and an unstressed variation. Look at the verb repeats, repite, which has a stressed I. When the stress moves to the ending, the stressed I is gone, and in its place is an unstressed E. Repetimos. This variation is subtle, so highlighting the stressed I in the font will help you see it. The infinitive ending is stressed, so it also uses the unstressed root, just like repetimos, repetir. This little root variation never happens in the blue pattern, and it doesn't even happen in the other green pattern. Does it make sense that this verb has two variations of the root? Just follow the arrow. The stressed variation and the unstressed variation. Putting the forms in the traditional chart, you can see that the stressed variation of the root falls in the so-called shoe or boot. The danger lies in memorizing the chart without understanding why. If we travel to Spain, where they use vosotros, we'll hear the stress falling in the ending, just like repetimos. The vosotros suffix is usually two letters, is, but Spanish avoids having two i's in a row, so the suffix is shortened. Also remember that this ending has a written accent. It's outside the so-called shoe or boot, just like repetimos, repetís. Lining them up again in one column makes it easy to see where the stress of your voice falls, in the root or in the ending. Let's do a quick review. A root with the stressed I, and a root with an unstressed E. It's worth repeating that this root variation doesn't happen in the other green pattern, and it never happens in the blue pattern. That's it for the explanation. The rest of this video quickly presents a list including almost all of the verbs with this variation. This list will go fast, so we have a PDF you can download. Contact us, or we might have a link in the description below. Repeats, competes, corrects, which has a spelling fix to maintain the same sound as the soft G. Elects, which has the same spelling fix. Dresses, undresses. Serves, measures. Requests, impedes. Dismisses or fires, also used to express saying goodbye. Follows or continues. Note that the silent U is a spelling fix that keeps a hard G sound, but one form doesn't need it. Pursues or chases, which has the same spelling fix, but not in one form. Gets or obtains, which has the same spelling fix, but not in one form. Says, which includes one irregular form that must be committed to memory. Two other verbs are built on this pattern. Blesses and curses. Groans or moans. The verb fries is a little tricky, since the root doesn't end in a consonant. The last letter of the root is the one that changes. In the ending, it has a written accent on the I to separate it from the E. And the stressed I in the root also has a written accent to separate it from the normal verb endings, the E and the O. Two other verbs that are tricky in the exact same way are laughs and smiles. And that's it. There are 3 lessons in this series, and they can be watched in any order. This lesson covered stressed roots with a single I. Another lesson covers stressed roots with a Y sound. Another lesson covers stressed roots with a W sound. We've got plenty of free color-coded online practice to help you quickly master these root variations in the Spanish present tense. Follow the instructions in the description below.